Largest consumer goods companies with a turnover of €39 billion in 2004. We produce 400 brands spanning 14 categories of well-known foods, home and personal care brands. 1 in 2 households in the world have a Unilever brand in their home. From toothpaste and tea in the morning to soups at lunch to ready meals and moisturisers in the evening, 150 million times a day people over the world are using our product. So that's 150 million opportunities to make a positive difference to people every single day, providing them with things that help with nutrition, hygiene, and help them look good, feel good, and get more out of life. Vitality's been at the heart of Unilever since we started back in the late 1800s, and Lord Leverhulme was quite visionary, and his mission was to make cleanliness commonplace, to lessen work for women, to foster health and contribute to personal attractiveness, that life may be more enjoyable and rewarding for the people who use our product. So the way we express and interpret this now, we call Vitality. It's developed over time, but it's still at the heart of how we operate as a business. Our history. In the late 19th century, Lord Leverhulme founded Lever Brothers to manufacture soap. What you may not be aware of is that Sunlight Soap was the first brand, so Lord Lever was the first person to take things out of big baskets and wrap them up and put a name on it. He was also one of the most philanthropic employers of his time, setting up schools and hospitals for the communities in which he operated. So these strong community links are a strong part of our culture today as well. In 1930, Lever Brothers merged with Margarine Uni, which was a Dutch-based margarine company, and Unilever was created. We've been an Anglo-Dutch company ever since. In 2004, we introduced our Vitality mission to capture who we are and what we stand for, and it was at that time that we updated and relaunched our logo as well. This slide will give you a bit of an idea of our global scale. We have operations in nearly 100 countries around the world and 365 manufacturing sites across the 6 continents. We have strong roots in local markets and first-hand knowledge of local cultures. As I said, our turnover in 2004 was €39.1 billion, which was comprised of 43% in Europe, 32% in the Americas and 25% in Asia, AMET being Africa, Middle East and Turkey. 25% of our sales are through 25 international retailers and the remainder through millions of local outlets. We're the world's biggest ice cream manufacturer with €5 billion annual turnover, selling in more than 40 countries, and here you would know us as the Streets brand. We also lead the home care market through cleansing and hygiene products in much of the world. But I think what you're probably more interested in hearing about is how we bring CSR to life in our brands. So at Unilever, we believe that supporting communities and caring for the environment makes sound commercial sense. But this commitment goes deeper. It's right at the heart of our Vitality mission. We do it through corporate social investment initiatives, donations and the activities of our employees. In 2004, we committed €65 million to community and environment activities. But increasingly, we've been doing this through brand-led projects, so we're moving away a little bit from the sponsorship and donation kind of model and more into integrating this activity through our brands, because we believe that CSR is never going to be sustainable as long as it's treated as a bolt-on to the business. I'm going to demonstrate in the next few slides just how we're integrating this into our brands, and I'll talk about some global initiatives and also some of the things that we're doing here locally. Iodine deficiency is a global health issue which is a leading cause of mental retardation in developing countries. According to UNICEF, 740 million people are iodine deficient, and 30% of children under the age of 5 in Africa suffer from this deficiency. It causes goiter, an enlargement of the thyroid gland, and also children with iodine deficiency will never reach their full physical or mental development. So our low-cost solution, Annapurna iodised salt. Although the prevalence of iodine deficiency is high and the potential situation, iodisation of salt, might seem simple, public awareness campaigns on using iodised salt have not been successful in countries such as Ghana, where 30% of the population lives on less than $1 a day. It was difficult to persuade people to switch to iodised salt that was twice as expensive as non-iodised salt. So in 1999, working with UNICEF, Unilever launched Annapurna iodised salt in India, followed with a launch in Ghana in 2001. It's the first ever product endorsed by the International Council for the Control of Iodine Deficiency Disorder. And to be able to offer Annapurna at a price that was affordable to even the lowest income families, Unilever Africa scrutinised all the costs. This resulted in the development of a cost-efficient system whereby the production was outsourced, creating 200 local jobs. New retail distribution channels were created and 100-gram sachets were offered at an affordable price. These small, low-cost sachets of the salt put them within reach of some of Ghana's poorest families. Roadshows with information supplied by the Ghana Health Service raised awareness on the benefits of iodised salt and built consumer confidence in the Annapurna brand. More than 50% of consumers switched to iodised salt. 3 years after the launch of Annapurna, 50% had switched. The Food and Health Research Institute and the Unilever Nutrition Network Africa are now working together with UNICEF and the Ghana Health Service to convert the rest of the population. Annapurna is now sold in other African countries along with other fortified foods such as biscuits with vitamin A and zinc to boost children's immune system and vitamin-enriched wholemeal maize flour. Lifebuoy is one of our most established brands, and it's a range of soaps which provide effective protection from germs which can affect family health. The World Health Organization has identified diarrhoea as the single largest cause of preventable death, killing 2.2 million people every year. It's been estimated that if everyone washed their hands properly at key times during the day, up to half of all childhood deaths from diarrhoea, a staggering 1 million children, could be prevented. Lifebuoy's number one aim is to challenge the misconception that visibly clean is hygienically clean. Our Glow Germ demonstration invites children to apply a white powder to their hands, then wash with water only. When their hands are held under an ultraviolet light, the powder glows, showing dirt and germs. On repeating with soap, the children discover the UV light shows no trace of the powder or dirt. The Lifebuoy Health Awakening program is the biggest rural health and hygiene campaign initiative ever undertaken in India. The 5-year campaign helps to educate 200 million people, or 20% of the population, about basic hygiene habits, including washing hands with soap. We work in partnership with parents, health educators, teachers, community leaders and government agencies to make this happen. In Indonesia during the summer of 2004, part of the price of Lifebuoy soap products was donated towards providing health and hygiene infrastructure for needy communities. Sales increased during the campaign and approximately 62 million Lifebuoy soaps were sold, generating €65,000 for the Health and Hygiene Fund. So here in Australasia, we have the benefit of access to global brand CSR innovation, but at the same time we have the freedom to maintain and adapt these ideas to our local Australasian market. In 2004, the Dove brand commissioned a groundbreaking study in 10 countries to examine the implications of a global society that narrowly defines beauty by the images seen in entertainment, advertising and fashion runways, and the impact that this has on women. Only 2% of women in the study describe themselves as beautiful. The Dove campaign for Real Beauty offers a broader, healthier view of female beauty, featuring women of all shapes, sizes and ages, while encouraging discussion on these issues. To raise awareness of the link between beauty and body-related self-esteem, Dove funded the Dove Self-Esteem Fund, which funds programs to raise self-esteem in girls and young women. Research has shown that girls and boys learn about body image and beauty ideals from a very early age and consequently often struggle to build a healthy self-esteem. This low self-esteem can lead to introversion, a withdrawal from normal life and a waste of potential, and can sometimes develop into an eating disorder. The Dove Self-Esteem Fund was designed to contribute to helping children celebrate their individual beauty and aims to reach 1 million children by 2008. In Australia, we partnered with the Butterfly Foundation, which is an organisation that provides support for Australians who suffer from eating disorders and their carers. The first step towards reaching this goal is the rollout of an educational program called BodyThink in Victorian schools. The Brax government has committed $40,000 to this, the Dove Self-Esteem Fund another $100,000. BodyThink is a specially created workshop for school-aged children, 11 to 14 years of age, to help them grow up with an informed, balanced viewpoint. This includes putting the beauty world into perspective, understanding and dealing with feelings about their physical appearance, as well as how ideal images of beauty are created. And I'm not sure how many people in this room have seen the Dove Evolution video that's sort of gone around virally on email, but that's another part of the Dove Self-Esteem Fund initiatives. For those who haven't seen it, it sort of takes a fairly normal-looking woman and over a 60-second speeded-up video shows them applying makeup, doing her hair, taking the photographs, and then photoshopping that image into a billboard. And the last line is, "No wonder our perceptions are distorted." The workshop materials, the BodyThink workshop materials include facilitation notes, surprising facts, activity cards, and that DVD that investigates the photographic and filming trickery used to create perfect images. BodyThink was originally created by Dove in association with the Eating Disorders UK, where it's called Body Talk, and has been successfully utilised in schools across the UK with positive feedback from teachers, parents and students alike. So we'll be rolling this out in Victorian schools next year via a series of teacher seminars. So we're training people to deliver this in their own schools so we can reach out to more regional areas. And our aim is to take the program national and to also provide the Butterfly Foundation build their capacity so they can also become a truly national organisation rather than just a Victorian one. A raised level of blood cholesterol is an established and important risk factor for coronary heart disease, as I'm sure you're all aware, which can lead to heart attack. It's also responsible for a third of the global incidence of cardiovascular disease. By 2020, heart disease and stroke will become the leading causes of death and disability worldwide. Plant sterols, also known as phytosterols, naturally occur in small quantities in vegetable oils such as sunflower seed oil, rapeseed and soybean oil, but also in nuts, seeds and grains. Structurally, they are similar to cholesterol, and because they partly block the absorption of cholesterol from the intestine, this results in a higher elimination of cholesterol and a 10% lowering of bad LDL cholesterol within 3 weeks if the recommended 3 servings of Pro.activ a day are consumed. We've got a long history of marketing healthy heart products branded as Bushells, Flora, Promise and Fruit Dior. And the launch in 2000 of our plant sterol enriched range of Pro.activ products is a logical extension of this product range. The Unilever Food and Health Research Institute and many others have shown clearly in over 40 studies in humans that plant sterols can actively reduce blood cholesterol levels, both in people with normal as well as people with raised cholesterol levels. 50% of Australians have high cholesterol, but only 20% think they do. Recently, we've communicated this through an advertising campaign using Paul Mercurio, the dance star in Australia, and Corey Hutchins, the triathlete in New Zealand. And internally at Unilever, we conducted a similar challenge, and I had high cholesterol. I had cholesterol of 6.2 when I started this, and after 3 weeks it was down to 5.2 of eating this product. So there are a lot of people internally within Unilever who are now true believers and who really made some wholesale lifestyle changes as a result of this. One of our VPs found he had a cholesterol of 8 and so has subsequently made some serious changes to his diet and lifestyle. Years of scientific study by child health experts show that playing outdoors is an essential part of a child's learning and development. Getting dirty through constructive play is how children learn and express their creativity. It also helps them stay healthy by encouraging them to exercise and bolstering their immune systems. OMO's philosophy is that dirt is good and that enjoying dirt is absolutely free. Kids can enjoy dirt at home or out and about by themselves or with their friends. OMO's message is let your children create, experiment and explore, and don't worry about getting their clothes clean, because we'll do that. This is one that probably anyone who's done some driving around the holiday times would be familiar with. Bushells tea has been part of Australia since 1883 and has always had a strong community position. And the most visible aspect of this is the sponsorship of the Bushells Driver Reviver program. Each holiday season, up to 220 Driver Reviver sites open right across Australia. They're supported by volunteers from a range of regional community groups, and they offer refreshments and an opportunity to break up the journey. This year, the Bushells brand also gave away $500,000 to community groups across the country via the Community Cash promotion. And this was an interesting case study because we didn't give the Bushells brand team an awful lot of money to spend on their advertising campaign, so they had to get a bit creative. And what they came up with was this Community Cash promotion, given that Bushells does have strong community ties, consumers would cut tokens off the boxes and collect them and send them in for a share of this pool of money, and we ended up, rather than advertising, just giving all that money away to community groups, and it was highly successful for us. So that's just a couple of the things that we're doing. I could give you some more examples if I had more time, but I think it's probably better now to open it up to you guys. If you have any questions, go right ahead. Yep.
Everyone complains a bit too loud. Just say your name. Simon Carter from Colleagues International and also Catalyst. I heard an incredible story about what happened behind the Dove campaign in order to create quite an extraordinary leadership and innovation program. Are you familiar with that? And are you able to?
I'm probably peripherally familiar with it. As I said, there was a large study undertaken by the UK business, initiated by the UK business, but undertaken across 10 countries, which was what was behind these findings that, only 2% of women think they're beautiful. And so they did a lot of market research to, I suppose, test the theory that women, did they want to see, real models? And one of the philosophies of the brand is that anyone you see in our ads is not airbrushed, not, that's who they are. So you're not seeing Photoshop skinnier thighs, all that sort of stuff. That's who the women are. And it's been phenomenally successful for the brand. People have really, really responded well to it. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Something else, which the story I heard was about an innovation and... Did everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Rightio. It was about a leadership and innovation program that happened in about 6 Unilever businesses around the world with a number of different product lines, and one of them was Dove. And I think it ran for about a year, and it involved what they call the U process, which comes from the Society for Organisational Learning at MIT, where the leadership team came together, and going down one side of the U process is where they sort of look at who they're being as individuals and what they're committed to achieving in the world. And as they progress down, they kind of strip away a lot of the stuff, the ego and corporate identity. As a team, they then begin to align on common purpose about what they're trying to do for Unilever and the Dove brand in this case. And at the bottom of the U process, they're able to be so very present to the full system that's occurring, which meant they started asking those questions you were referring to about the impact of the brand on the world. And then going up the side of the U process is where they started to innovate and look at what they could do to make a difference there.
Yeah, no, I'm not familiar with the sort of background to it beyond what I spoke about, but I'm not surprised to hear that, because the reason I wasn't here yesterday, I was telling Anne-Marie, is because our head of our Asian business is here, and he was talking to us about intention and saying that we can't undertake cynical marketing exercises if our intention is not there. If our heart's not in what we're doing, then it will fail.
Yeah.
So it's very much, we very much believe in what we're doing with our brands, particularly the sort of main vitality brands.
Because I think what happened behind Dove was a real authenticity around that from that leadership team because of that particular journey they went on.
Yeah.
Which strikes me for CSR as an extraordinary opportunity in the corporate world, because it was motivated by single bottom line financial interest in the business, of course, but it ended up generating this social benefit, and there's other great examples around Unilever where it's been applied.
Yeah, there's a program going on in India which is being rolled out to Pakistan and Bangladesh and other countries in the region called Project Shakti, which also came about from a very economic-driven need, I suppose, in that it's very difficult for us to access the rural areas in India because the infrastructure is so bad. So they were sitting around thinking, how can we reach these new markets, these untapped markets? And what they came up with was an idea of training poor rural women to sell our products. So they'd go into these local communities, provide them with all the training and the equipment and so forth that they needed. And these women are now supplementing their income, and the benefit is that they're now able to send their kids to school and, things like that. So it was a real win-win and a great example of when, CSR having a great economic benefit but also a great social benefit. And I think they've trained in excess of 18,000 rural women now and sort of lifted these women out of poverty into, new lives. So, yeah.
Megan Christensen from Lendlease. Sarah, I'm really interested to understand how Unilever's embedded CSR into the culture. Is it something that has been top-down, bottom-up, and how initiatives are actually come about?
I think it's probably a little bit of both. Our chairman sits on the Unilever Foundation Committee. The head of the Asian business, Tex Gunning, who I just spoke about before, is passionate about CSR. He leads outbreaks every year where he takes up to 40 managers from around the region off to, they might be working in leper colonies, or they might be working, rebuilding housing after the tsunami in Sri Lanka. So it's very clear within the business that it's expected. It's, and we try to attract people into the business by positioning ourselves this way. But there's also a real groundswell of passion as well within non-management also. So I think that like attracts like, I suppose, so over the years, because it started out as a fairly philanthropic business anyway, it's attracted those kind of people to the business, and it's become this sort of self-perpetuating thing.
I'm Gerda Fanning from Monash University. I'm just curious to know, as part of your CSR department, whether you're also incorporating triple bottom line performance indicators and doing environmental audits and social audits throughout the company.
Yep.
And if you could talk a bit about that side of CSR.
Sure. We report back to the UK every year. The Unilever puts out one social and environment report from our head office in the UK, so we report to that. We also participate in the Corporate Responsibility Index run by the St James Ethics Centre here. We have also been an inaugural member of the London Benchmarking Group here, which just started up this year, or late last year, and this is our first reporting year for that. So LBG measures community investment only, whereas the CRI and the figures that we send back to the UK are more environment, social and economic. So we examine our environmental performance, but also how we're spending our money in community and social initiatives, what the percentage, or I suppose the management costs of that are. So, what the management ratio is in that. Does that answer your question?
And are you working with your suppliers as well, in terms of how you select the suppliers you work with and their environmental and social and ethical standards, or are you not at that stage?
No, we are at that stage. We have a supplier code of conduct and audit process where we audit them, or they self-audit, and if they fall below that, then we'll come in and help them audit as well. And there's a process over 2 or 3 years where we will assist them trying to reach the KPIs that we expect from them. But if after, I think the period is 3 years, they don't reach those things, then they will no longer be a supplier to this business. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sarah. I think it was Lord Leverhulme who said, I know that half of the advertising money we spend is wasted. The only trouble is I don't know which half. But I think times have moved on since then. And it's interesting because you described the origins with Sunlight Soap and kind of a dematerialised packaging, phase, the early days. And actually, it seems that companies are moving back to dematerialised packaging. And we heard yesterday from Walmart, who one product they're saving a couple of $1 million by just changing the packaging state. So that's interesting. I just wanted to ask you a question. Is that one of the quests of Unilever?
Yeah, we've just created
Yeah? Thanks.
We are signatories to the National Packaging Covenant, but we've also created a role just last month for someone to be based in packaging but have a specific environmental role, so they'll be working with the brand teams through their innovation process to make sure that every time we innovate we're taking packaging out rather than adding, because brand people get, as you would know, Rob, having worked in advertising, get quite carried away with their vision of what their product should look like and may not always consider the environmental implications of the packaging that they're designing. So we've now got someone who'll be sitting alongside them each through that process and making sure that we're heading in the right direction.
Terrific. Can I ask you another question as this comes to mind? I should have asked these when I'm sitting down there. You should be standing up and I should be sitting down. How do you compare your efforts in CSR with Procter & Gamble?
I'm not all that across what Procter & Gamble
are doing.
Yeah, no, I'm really not. I think one of the things we could improve is that we do tend to be quite internally focused. So we focus a lot on what we're doing internationally and so on, but we don't tend to look at our competitors as much as what we could. We'd notice we notice things like Nestle bringing out a fair trade coffee offering because we source tea ethically, but we don't always talk about that. So, if things are very public, we'll notice them, but we haven't tended to sort of delve in and see what they're doing in that area, because I think it's got to be, it comes back to intention as well. The danger of becoming a cynical exercise if you're trying to outdo, your competitors rather than just doing it because it's the right thing to do.
Good. I think that word, thank you, that word intention is really powerful. I like the sort of meaning of words, as I said yesterday. And it really lies, the roots of all of this lie in intention, don't they? That's terrific. Anyway, I'd just like to say thank you on behalf of everybody, and will you please express your thanks to Sarah.